I'll back you.
We're live, Chair.
Okay, great. I'll call to order the Planning Advisory Committee meeting for June 12th, 5:01. Say the land acknowledgement. On June 12th, we acknowledge that this is the sacred land on which Smith Falls, now located, has been the site of human activity for 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all of our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. I'm Jacqueline Grimes, the chair of this committee. I will now take attendance of committee members. Councillor Jay Brennan.
Present.
Councillor Stephen Robinson.
Present.
Yvonne Robert.
Present.
Stephen McGuire.
Present.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion, please? Jay, seconded by Stephen. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of minutes. Planning Advisory Committee meeting May 8th. Moved by Yvonne, seconded by Stephen. All in favor? All right. Disclosure of monetary interests. Public meetings, none. Priority issues, report number PAC 25-03, application for site plan control SP 25-02, 7 William Street East. Pass it over to Richard.
Okay. Now we're looking at a site plan control application for the proposed mixed-use development at 7 William Street East. So this isn't in a long range of, development applications for this lot. Initially, it began with a consent application, and previously they got amount variance approval for some of the permitted uses. So reducing the height to 6.38 and having the ability to have a combined interior and exterior amenity space for a minimum of 10 meters. And also burying the hydropower lines so that they're allowed to facilitate the building. So those are some of the things they got through for amount variance approval. And so this site plan application is looking to, facilitate that concept. Now, the concept has not changed since the beginning. So there's still one commercial unit on the ground floor, and there's a residential unit on the ground floor as well in the rear. There's 2 residential units on the second floor, and there's a balcony proposed for the front-facing residential unit on the upper floor. Parking will be accessible via the right-of-way off of William Street. And here we have the site's key map, and here we have the site sketch. So on the left-hand side, in the different colors, you see the different easements that were achieved. And we also see the parking in the rear. And so there's 4 parking stalls in total. In the first drawing, we see the first floor. So that just basically gives us the drawings of the proposed development. And here's the second floor, which houses the 2 residential units. And then we're looking at the elevations. Now for the elevations, they are using horizontal Dutch slab vinyl. So basically it's vinyl siding. It's typical vinyl siding, and on the front they're using some exterior stone as well as stucco on the second floor. So these elevations just show you the front end where they propose balconies in the front, just from different angles. And then we have the rear view that shows the secondary, the second floor, as well as the cantilevered post for where the parking area will be located. Here we have a property survey. On one side, you can see the square that indicates the property location, and that would be the part 1 of the survey. And here we have the parking plan. The parking plan was a request through the previous application for minor variance to demonstrate how parking functionality would be achieved on site. All right, new information. And that's just an example of what typical vinyl siding looks like for Dutch flat vinyl, just in case people were having a hard time visualizing the proposed vinyl that would be on the side of the building. For servicing, there will be water and wastewater connections off of William Street, and stormwater management will be addressed using roof drains and an inflow control device. And they'll be receiving typical pickup for residential and the commercial units. So here's a recent site visit for the property. Nothing typically would have changed from the last time you guys were reviewing this application for minor variance. This is just a summary edition essentially. And then you can see the residential unit on the other side, and as well as the fence line and the hydro pole adjacent to the blue car. So that's the hydro pole that will be relocated. In terms of comments, we received no objections from Enbridge, the building department, or fire department, and we have had no feedback from Bell Canada or Hydro One. We've only received feedback from Public Works, and they have largely no objections until we look at the parking site design. So that's the only issue that they have had concerns with, and they have provided their comments to the applicant, and that can be seen on the appendix of the report. Appendix E, I believe. In terms of parking access, the parking stalls will be accessed with a 6.7 meter driving aisle. As discussed before, additional follow-up was requested for the parking plan. And as discussed before, we're looking at exterior finishes of stucco, stone on vinyl siding. The downtown core guidelines do not encourage the use of these materials, stucco and vinyl siding, because it's considered a low quality material. And we would recommend that the applicant look at brick, stone, board and batten, or cement board, essentially higher quality materials for siding. In terms of lighting, the proposal did not articulate any exterior lighting shown, so we asked that the applicants provide that in revised architectural drawings, and the exterior lighting features must be dark sky compliant, meaning that they're downward turned, so they're reducing the light spill. In terms of landscaping, we recognize that the site is very small, so we would propose that landscaping be placed in the front yard area, which is that 1.5 meter strip between the house, or rather the dwelling, and the front lot line, so we can either have planter boxes or columnar or compact plantings on the front. And also we can include planter boxes on the second balcony. In terms of snow storage details, there's an absence of that on their architectural drawings, and applicants are advised to revise their drawings to demonstrate how snow storage will be addressed. In terms of screening, we recommend that they place a 1.5 meter high privacy fence where the proposed parking is, just to reduce the vehicle glare from the adjacent residential units on the one side. And we also recommend that the applicants on their architectural drawings indicate the signage location for any proposed signage for the commercial front, because currently the drawings have a more of a non-commercial street presence, so there's no indication where proposed signing would go. So it just needs to have that more commercial storefront appeal. The second balcony. So during the minor variance application, they were approved an interior and exterior combined amenity space of 10 meters. And we proposed that they put the balcony on the front because they had originally had the building set back on the second floor. Now, after another look, we were considering that the best opportunity is to put the balcony not in the front, but in the rear, so that would provide an element of privacy that wouldn't necessarily be there if it were in the front. Also, we could include a Juliet balcony in the front if they still are insistent on keeping some sort of balcony in the front, so that they're able to have that improved facade, while also maintaining privacy in the back with a balcony in the rear. And in terms of questions, I only had questions with respect to the proposed balcony or any other opportunities to enhance the facade on the front, or if you had any other design-related comments.
Good, thank you. Is there any questions from the committee?
I got a comment.
Okay.
Of course I've got a comment. and Richard, you probably know what it's going to be, about the exterior siding.
Yeah.
I know it's in the downtown core guidelines that it not be encouraged that you use vinyl or stucco. However, it's not on the main street; it's on a side street.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, anything that makes a property look better is an investment in the town. And since we're not paying for it, if that's what they really want to do, I have no objection to it, but that's me.
Okay.
Anyway, that's all I got to say.
I have a question, Richard. So with your proposal that they move the balcony to the back, maybe just a Juliet in the front, that would mean pulling that and having a flat front though?
That's correct.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that. So how does staff feel about not having these questions answered from Public Works? Are you to be able to move forward?
The situation is that Public Works feels that whatever space is necessary, they would permit to allow for an allowable space. So let's say they're not able to adequately satisfy Public Works concerns with these questions, then we would recommend that they reduce the required parking and that they would apply for a cash in lieu parking application for that process. So instead of being required to provide the 4, they have the 3, there's more space to turn around. So that would be what I would consider a compromise in this instance if they're not able to demonstrate satisfactorily that the parking requirements are functional.
Okay. So you just need our comment today. We don't need to see this again.
No, you don't. It could be updated if you would like to be updated to kept in the loop, but no.
Right.
So just a kind of a question and a comment. So I support your recommendation that that we support this in principle, and also I would concur with my colleague Councillor Robinson that the materials, and given that the images you've provided and what it's going to look like looks fine to me, and but the other things that you talked about, the balconies, the idea would be that you are going to work with the applicant to try to see if there's any movement there that can be done. So this is not, if I'm not wrong, a site plan control is really not in our purview anymore. Am I right?
No, so you can't require anything.
Yeah.
This is more of a recommendation. Yeah. So this is a courtesy just because it's a development application.
Yeah. So I think it's great. There's going to be more living space close to downtown, not on the main street, but in the downtown core, and also another commercial. Did they indicate through the chair any what type of commercial they were looking at?
So initially we discussed something like an office space, but they're not hard that set on it really. This was just sort of a placeholder for whatever development that they finally settle on. So they haven't talked about clients or who's moving into the space. Yeah. So we don't really know how they're looking to activate it.
Okay, great. Any other comments or questions? Stephen?
Oh, nothing for me, thanks.
I already talked to him about that.
Okay. All right. So we can.
I would second that. Your thing,
Thank you.
your suggestion.
Okay.
Noted for the record.
All right. Okay, we can move on then. Project.
Do they need do you need a motion from us?
I don't need a motion, no. I was just more looking for recommendations.
Okay.
So.
Project updates. That's me. I just wrote a few things down, so I'll just read that for you guys. So I attended the Ontario Association of Committee Adjustments from May 11th to the 14th at Blue Mountain Resorts. The conference was a sold-out event with over 250 delegates from all over Ontario. I have attended many conferences in my career, and the OACA conference was very well run, very well organized, very well done, in my opinion. They had 19 workshops to choose from over the 3 days, so I attended many of those. One was Understanding Roles and Responsibilities and Expectations, a guide for chairs and members. This was run by Hannah Kepper, who's a planner with 20 years experience, Southern Ontario. I don't know exactly where. So that was very eye-opening for me to see what other municipalities go through at their meetings. I guess I was a little bit of a naive to, I guess maybe we're spoiled a little bit in Smiths Falls. So it certainly made me appreciative of Smiths Falls and the planning department that we have. I quickly realized that not all staff are built the same. So there was chance for comment and questions, and other chairs and members kind of said, hey, is this normal? Is it normal for you guys to get your agenda and your package like a few hours before the meeting? Everybody's like, what? So it was eye-opening, maybe for them as well, when the majority of the room said, no, that's not normal. And how other municipalities don't actually allow their members to have site visits. They actually don't want people on site for liability issues. So it was interesting to see just the differences, and even how larger municipalities are reviewing 50 plus applications per meeting. It's pretty wild to see how they spit those out in a night. Another meeting I attended was a survey plan demystified, a practical guide. 4 tests versus red herrings to talk about the differences. So lots of stories with that, with grumpy neighbors and upset communities. The next one was a committee of adjustments, not a committee of approval, navigating difficult hearings, which was also eye-opening, especially in my new role as chair, how you can have groups of people to come in and protest with flags and banners, and yikes. So hopefully we don't have that here. And then navigating section 53, a guide to the consent process, was a little bit out of my purview. That was more meant for planners to submit questions ahead of time, get them answered. But you can definitely see how in a room full of planners, there was lots of collaboration, lots of different interpretation. Everything's changing. So it's just kind of this moving target for everybody. So it was interesting. So I want to thank Town Council for allowing me the opportunity to attend the event. Next year's conference will be held roughly around the same weekend, and it's going to be in Ottawa.
Ooh, wow.
So I strongly encourage our planning staff to attend because it was good. It was very, very good. That's it for my update. Next meeting, Thursday, July 10th, 2025. And adjournment. Moved by Yvonne, seconded by Stephen. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Just let Tech know we're done.